Welcome students. In the previous class, we actually discussed about different types of forces, non-contact force, non-contact force, and also discuss about what is force and what are the effects of force. Now, today we actually discuss about friction. This is one type of force. Okay, and we also say that friction is a contact force. Okay. Now, at first, we have to define what is a friction force. Okay. Already this chapter is completed. This is revision class. Okay, on friction. So you already know what is friction force. Okay. Friction is actually a resistive force. Okay. Between two surfaces depend upon the nature of the surface, and also friction depends upon the weight of the body. If we take a body like this and it is placed on a surface that is rough surface, this is the surface, this is rough surface, and if we applied a force, external force that is capital F on the body whose mass is m, then the body wants to move, okay, or the body is moving. In this situation, actually, the contact surface, that is actually this surface, in this surface there is a frictional force which is defined as small f. Okay. Here small f is the friction force which acts actually in the opposite direction of the motion of the body. Actually, here the body small m wants to move in the direction of capital F. Okay, that means this is the direction of motion. This is the direction of motion, and the friction force, that is small f, this is friction force, and capital F is applied force, external applied force. Here small f is the friction force, and this force is act in the opposite direction of motion, and it is actually act between two surfaces. One is rough surface and another one is the surface of the body. Okay. Now the question is, in which factors actually the friction force depends? Actually, in this case, we have to remember that friction force depends upon actually at first nature of the surface, nature of the surfaces, and the second one is the weight of the moving body, the weight of moving objects or body, moving objects. Now the question is how friction force depend on nature of the surfaces, and also how friction force depend on the weight of the moving surface. So at first we discuss the nature of surfaces. Okay. In this case, we have two different surfaces. One is, this is one surface, and we placed a body on the surface like this, and we take another surface that is simply like this. Okay. In this case, body is placed like this, same body. So here first surface is A and second surface is B. So from these two surfaces, we can easily see that A surface, roughness of A surface is more than roughness of B surface. Okay. So in this case, roughness of A is greater than roughness of B. That means actually friction force act in the on the surface A is greater than actually friction on the surface B. So frictional force for A surface is greater than frictional force for B surface. What is the cause behind it? Actually, what the cause is, the roughness of A surface is greater than the roughness of B surface. And what is the next point? That is weight of the moving body. So to realize or to understand the point, actually we take another example, that is for point 2 we can take same surface but two different bodies. So for first body actually we take small m and the weight of the body is mg, as we know actually w equal to mg. And for second case surface is same but we take a different body, and in this case actually we take mass capital M. So weight of the body for this case W2 is equal to capital Mg, and for the first case W1 is equal to Mg. And also for first case 1, and this is case 2. For case 1 or case A, actually small m is less than capital M. For these two figures, actually weight W2 is greater than W1. So now what is the question? The question is, what is the comparison between two frictional force for two cases A and B? Here actually W2 is greater than W1. That means frictional force for B surface is greater than frictional force for A surface. So from this case we can say if weight of the body is more, then we get more frictional force. Okay. And here also we have to know that if weight is same, the next very important point, that is very important, that if weight W, or we can say weight is constant or same, then we can say frictional force is independent of the area of surface. Frictional force is independent of the area of surface, of the area of surface in contact. That means actually if we take same surface and we take different body but their weight is same, like that if we take same surface like this, and in this case actually one is like this is small m, and another is like this, and for these two cases mass is same, m is same, so that means actually weight of the body is same for both cases. That means here for two cases friction force is same. Friction force is same for both cases. This is very important point. Okay, that means frictional force is independent of the area of surface. As we can see for two cases, actually for second case, if we take this is second and this is first, then for second case actually the area of surface that in contact with the surface actually more than the first one, but the total mass is same, so we can say weight of the two bodies for two different cases is same. That means if surface is constant or same, then frictional force obviously same. Okay. So frictional force does not depend on area of surface. Okay. Now the question is, what are the types of friction? Okay. So in generally we classified actually friction force is classified into two different segments. First one is static and second one is actually kinetic, or we can say moving. And in this case actually, what do you mean by static friction? In this case actually, when static friction is the force of friction acting between two objects where actually the body is in rest condition. Okay, in this case, body is in rest condition. And what is kinetic friction? It is the force of friction in which case actually a body is moving. Okay, so and also we can say kinetic friction is classified into two different segments or two different types. One is sliding friction, one is sliding, and another one is rolling friction. And we can say, what is sliding friction? Actually, when we slide an object on a surface, then we get sliding friction. And if we actually heavy objects are made to roll over a surface, then we get rolling friction. Okay, these two types actually uh, classical, we can say these two types of friction is in the group of kinetic friction, or we can say moving. Okay, so in these two cases actually body is moving, and for the particularly static friction case, the body is in rest condition. Okay, now what are the advantage and disadvantage of friction? Okay, so first is actually advantage. So in this case actually there are several number of advantages of friction. So first, friction helps us in walking, and second one we can say cars and buses are able to move safely on roads, and third one is friction allows us to hold some objects with our own hand, and if we apply a brake, then the force of friction between brake shoe and rim that allow actually the car to stop, okay, or to stop a bicycle moving a vehicle. Okay, friction help, and we can say friction allow to write on a paper, and another one is friction help us to light a matchstick, okay, by rubbing it against the matchbox. These are the advantages of friction. And what are the disadvantages? Actually, there are several disadvantages of friction also. Disadvantages of friction. In this case, we can say actually friction produces heat energy, and due to friction, we can say a lot of energy is wasted, and also friction produces wear and tear. Okay, for this case, actually, some part of machine damages due to friction. Okay, now the question is, there is actually in your real life, if we want to increase friction, then what are the process by which actually we can increase the frictional force, and also we have to know how we reduce friction. Okay, so actually, what are the processes for increasing friction? Actually, we increase frictional force in several process, like actually if we make a surface rough, then actually we increases the frictional force. And also we the handles of a motorbikes are covered with a rough towel. Okay, the soles of footwear are also provided with grooved design. Tires of all vehicles have grooved design or treads to make their surface rough. Okay, and sand and gravel are often spread on slippery ground to increase friction. These are the processes. And now the question is how we reduce friction. So to reduce friction, we generally use actually oiling, lubricating, polishing, streamlining, and also providing wheels or ball bearing. Okay, in this way we actually decrease frictional force for different types of machine further. And in this case, actually, you have to know what is streamlining. So you know already what is streamlining. Streamlining means giving a special shape to object to so that they make experiences minimum force or minimum drag force while traveling through air or water. Okay, and you have to use some oil. Then in this way you can reduce actually friction in machine, in the moving part of machine. Okay, so actually these are the processes for reducing friction. Reducing These are the processes for reducing friction. Okay, so in this way we have to use frictional force. Okay, so this is the actually end of today's class. Actually today we discuss in generally what is friction and types of friction also, and which factors friction depends, what are the advantages of friction, what are the disadvantages of friction, and also we discuss how we increase friction or how we decrease friction or reduce friction, what are the process behind increasing and decreasing friction. Okay, so in the next class we discuss another topic, that is actually in the next class we discuss about some questions or problem, that is actually revision part. Okay,